No.
I'm supposed to be quiet?
It's 5 o'clock, I'll call the city council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Anderson.
Yes.
Fetch.
Yes, sir. Come in.
Feltes. Mazak.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yes.
Holstead. Yes.
We have a quorum. Pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Want to get one of these with the chief over there?
Verification of posting.
The agenda was posted on Monday, and then a revised agenda was posted by 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon at City Hall, City of Arcadia, and Arcadia TV and appliance on the city website.
Do we have the revised one in our packet?
I don't know, Bob.
We have 16,
It's online.
19 to adjourn. So what,
19
Yeah,
to
that's
adjourn,
it.
dear.
so, okay.
The revised includes the ambulance thing, right? That's the
There's
revision.
another chair over here.
Right?
Yep.
Angie, the revised one includes the ambulance thing, right?
Well, both of them should have.
There's
there
two
was
closed
just
sessions.
There was an additional closed session item. The first agenda only had 17, I believe. Now this has 19.
Oh, okay.
I'm entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Feltes, Fetch.
Second.
Second by Mazak. Clerk will call the roll. Sorry, Doc.
Okay, who did you give credit to that motion?
Fetch and Mazak. Joe isn't here, but he even said it remotely, so fast.
Okay, because I had felt this down. I'm like, well, I'm losing it. All right.
Is this ghost here? Yes.
Fetch. Mazak.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yes.
Holstead. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Public comment?
I just have one thing, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
Obviously, I'm not out there making trails ski-wise, but I did check on some, the cost of chains, which probably we will not get involved in, but I just wanted to let people know we do need chains on that tractor. It'd be $800 to $1,000. So that would come out of Trump's budget, I think.
Yep.
Okay, question for me, because I wasn't at the last meeting. What kind of tractor is this and where is it from and whose is it?
It's a borrowed tractor from Dave Taysom. It's a 56 or E, something like that. It's a full.
Okay.
It's a borrowed tractor.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Okay, thank you.
But maybe someday we might get one like that, but
Sure.
it's just a for thought. I don't.
Any other public comment?
Well, just to Todd, you know,
Jim?
if you watch Craigslist, you can catch used chains quite a bit. We just actually picked up a size somewhat like that for less than $200.
Ooh.
Good chains.
Craigslist?
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on. Presentations, we have none this evening. Old business, approval of meeting minutes for March 6th,
So moved.
2019. Motion by Fetch, is there a second? By Mazak. Additions or corrections? Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Mazak.
Yes.
Wojni.
Abstain.
Holstead. Yes. Anderson.
Yes.
Fetch.
Yes.
Motion
Feltes.
Yeah.
Motion carries. Item 4B, discussion of possible action on residential curbside recycling bids. Bill, I'll let you take over.
Okay, so as you all know, up for referendum on April 2nd. The whole packet. So up for referendum on April 2nd is whether or not the city would be able to charge a special fee for curbside residential recycling. This is single sort, so all combine recyclables into one container, and then that would be picked up. At a previous meeting, council meeting, it had been asked of what the cost for such a service would be, so that information would be provided, or could be provided as part of the education process before the vote. So with that, we did issue a request for proposal. It was sent out on February 27th. It did close on March 14th. We received, we sent it out and we put it in the newspapers, and then we also sent it out individually. We received 2 bids, one from Hilltoppers, Refuse and Recycling Service, and the other from Harder's, Quick Cleanup. We did open the bids on the 14th, and a few things to note before we get into the individual bids. Was that in the RFP, we did state that the city's acceptance of the bid for the service is contingent on the referendum passing. So that means that the voters would vote to allow for the city to assess a special charge for recycling services. So you can see in the packet that I've passed out, on the top page there, the grading was based off of the bid price, conformance to the specs as directed in the RFP, understanding of the requirements of the service, experience of a hauler performing services of a similar nature, record of past performance on similar contracts, clarity, conciseness and organization of the proposal, ability to perform collections during the weekday of off-peak traffic hours, and then the proposed collection intervals. So on the second page there, I did go through and check off on, there's a list of documents that we needed or that we requested in the RFP. Now, if they did not provide that, it wasn't an automatic elimination of their bid, but it does come against the grading criteria for which, in regards to organization of the proposal. So just kind of going through this and slow me down or stop me if you need to. We can definitely pause to answer questions.
Did you hit the pages that we're looking at?
Yeah, we're looking at page 2 right now. So
Page 2 is the one
Highlighted. On the back side, there you go, Doc,
oh,
right
this
there.
side, okay.
so
It says page 2.
yep. That's,
I bet. Okay, sorry.
So off the submittal checklist, both Hilltopper and Harder provided a signed cover letter. Both of them signed the bid form. Both of them signed an affidavit of no collusion. Neither of them provided a direct or proposed route map at this time. Both of them provided examples of tagging systems, their tagging system. Both of them provided a list of municipalities served.
Oh, excuse me.
Go ahead.
What does the tagging system mean?
So if you look in the bid document or the RFP and or the bid documents, the tagging system is for carts that may have issues with it. So it could include anything as far as materials being put into that cart, or it could include reasons why that cart was not picked up that day.
Or something wrong with the cart
Correct.
itself? Okay.
Well, we're on a question,
Yep.
non-collusion, does that mean non-competitive? Or what does that mean?
No,
What's
non-
collusion mean?
Non-collusion means that they didn't work together to put together a non-competitive bid.
Okay.
Don't you watch the news, Bob? That's all they talk about is collusion every day for the
Well,
last
I
2.5
only saw what
years.
Harper and Trout signed for, so I don't much, that's all I know.
At least you're a baseball fan, Bob.
$6,000 a bat.
Baseball, that's starting?
Keep going, yeah.
So in regards to a list of the vehicles that are proposed to be used if a contract is signed, Hilltoppers did provide a list. Harder's did not. Harder's simply stated that they would provide a truck that uses an automatic lift.
Automatic lift, you mean on the back of it? You did back?
Or on the side.
On the side.
I
Grab
believe-
the phone and picks it up
Yeah.
and dumps it to the.
And I believe the same vehicle would be used with Hilltopper too.
Oh, okay.
Both of them provided a collection list of recyclable materials. Both of them provided a list of facilities that they would be utilizing and or own. And both of them provided the proposal security of $5,000 in the form of a check that will be returned if the referendum fails, or if there is a tentative award, and that which eventually leads to a bond from the winning vendor.
Question?
Yep.
Recyclable material collection list. In the container, everything is thrown into one container, I mean, it's commingled?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Unless it's a specialized item for which maybe at market value or something at
Like
cost.
oil or whatever, I would.
Steel girders or something like that.
And then the last attachment is proposed modifications, conditions, or qualifying statements in addition to the request for proposal that we submitted. Hilltoppers did include a list, and Hunters did not. Those individual materials are in the packet that I've provided to you, and you can take some time to review that. But next here, I'll go down through the bid form, for which the cost per cart service is. So both had proposed a 95 gallon. Just to note that Hilltopper had stated 95 or 96, depending on the carrier or the provider of the gallon, or provider of the cart. I'm going to go down the first column here first, which is Hilltoppers. The way that we bid this was a 5-year contract with an optional additional 5 years thereafter. So when I say, and you see on your sheet there, year one would mean the year 2020. So year one for Hilltoppers is $8.25 per cart, or per pickup, which is 1 unit. Harders is $6.05. For year two, Hilltoppers is $8.41, and Harders is $6.23.
Excuse me, before the 95 gallon, when I was going through this thing here, it says something about 65 gallon and then,
Well, we had spec'd at minimum a 64 gallon every bi-weekly.
right,
Yep.
okay, so this is 95
This is more.
once a month, or
This is bi-weekly.
bi-weekly, so this is a bigger container.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Lots of stuff.
So year three, Hilltoppers came in at $8.57. Harders at $6.42. Year four, Hilltoppers is at $8.73, and Harders is at $6.61. Year five, Hilltopper was at $8.90, and Harders was at $6.81. So remember, year 6 to 10 are optional years, and if this was to move forward, that would have to be spelled out in the contract. Year 6, Hilltopper was at $9, and Harders is at $7.01. Year 7, Hilltoppers is at $9.10, and Harders is at $7.22. Year 8, Hilltopper is at $9.20, and Harders is at $7.44. Year 9, Hilltopper is at $9.30, and Harders is at $7.66. Year 10, the last year, Hilltoppers is at $9.40, and then Harders is at $7.89.
So roughly it's $1.50 a piece. Can I ask questions, Mayor?
Sure.
Who recommended this, that we pick Harders over Hilltoppers.
We put
I
it in
did.
for an RFP,
What's that mean?
request for purchase.
So based,
But they've got 3 no's here, whereas the other one only had 1 no.
correct, so the items on the top, so that's a submittal checklist. As far as items that we requested in part of our RFP. Now, if they submitted that or if they had forgotten it, it doesn't automatically disqualify them. What it does is it counts against them in the grading criteria. So when I went through and graded each proposal, I went ahead and graded it based off of all the criteria, not just whether or not one was missing a simple document or not.
So Harders could not tell us what vehicles would be used or how many, or conditions or qualifying statements. I'm just baffled that was recommended when there's so many no's there.
Well,
What difference does it make?
Where are they gonna pick that up? And if it's not picked up, who gets the call? Joe, Mr. President of Council.
They're gonna pick it up, cause they
It
signed the
doesn't-
contract.
Well-
It says no, Joe.
But-
Read.
but remember that we haven't entered into any contracts and we haven't negotiated any contracts at this point. So that's, and before you rush to decision here, it would behoove you to take a review at the materials, so that you're comfortable with it.
Okay.
So again, reviewing the bids as a whole, going over their history, going over their references, and going through their services, reviewing the bid prices. It is my recommendation, at least at this point, that the city reward the most responsible bidder, which I believe is Harders. But again, that's up for debate, that's up for the council to make, the decision is for the council to make. Now, moving forward from this, once and if council does choose the vendor to move forward with, we would then start on the education campaign in regards to working with the recycling committee, get that information out there before the referendum. If and when the referendum does pass, then at that time, the city would work in negotiating a contract with the vendor based off of the request for proposal.
So what you're saying, what you're asking at this time is, we recommend Harders, but we're not,
It would
Picking
be,
them.
It would be a tentative award until referendum is passed.
okay, I understand now, okay.
Would all residents be required to partake in the program?
They would.
What if they don't want to be part of it?
It would still show up as part of their tax, or not tax, special fee. It would have, in order for all of this to work, and the reason why it's there for a referendum, is that, all residential units would have to partake in this service.
When you say residential units, multifamily dwellings, they would pick those as well?
We would pick the ones that, we currently provide trash services to, garbage services that are not dumpsters. So for example.
Which is a majority.
Yeah, so for example, we have special situations in town here where, we do not allow dumpster service, a large dumpster service is done, so we pick trash, individual bags from there. The same thing would apply on the recycling side. So they don't have any,
So like,
they
for
don't,
point of reference, the places behind Shopko,
Yeah.
those rental units are all bagged pickup, they're not dumpster.
now in those cases, I have reached out to them, to identify, because space is tight up there, to identify specific areas for cart pickup and specific areas for trash pickups, without having the dumpster there.
So if the limits expand it's included in this? Or would we have to come back, would we have to do this again? Let's just say there's an expansion of more housing
Yep,
east or south or whatever direction you wanna go.
that price
Then
would,
they would have to come here, or would this be accountable to them?
well, this would apply to them, so we
Okay.
would charge per unit, correct?
That's what I imagine after 5, sorry Todd, after 5 years, you would probably revisit it, because if it's in between those 1 through 5 years, I mean, you're not gonna see a huge growth, you may, Bob, but I agree.
You know,
10 years down the road.
I mean, if we're looking at this now, it's a birth, but let's put everything on the table now.
Going back to the rental units, is the city responsible to charge the renter or the property address, or to the
It would
tenant?
go,
Or
it
to
would be
the
billed,
property owner?
it would be billed as the utility bill would bill.
Individually then.
So then like if there was
Like
this,
electric,
if there was flooding and everything, there's stuff there, are we responsible for that? Or is the landowner, or is it the homeowner, or the renter or responsible for sheetrock or,
responsible for recycling.
yeah, getting rid of it?
That's
Or
So
is-
say their place got flooded
Yeah,
trash.
and, sheetrock or insulation, whatever. Are we responsible, is that included in this, or would they pay for that also? Or who, or is it the landowner?
those aren't recyclable items.
Okay, so then
So-
who's responsible for that?
Well,
The property.
the
owner.
property
Property
owner,
owner,
and
okay.
the tenants are responsible for
Okay.
their own
Yes.
trash,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, you say, go ahead, sorry. I
But
stepped
just,
on you once.
just following up on, so everybody's involved in this, they would have to have this service. What if somebody wants to use another service?
Well,
Then
that's,
what we would
that's,
pick?
that's a good point that you bring up, because as we're doing this, we are drafting an ordinance in preparation for that referendum.
Okay, to include that, so there would be an answer for that then.
So in order to enforce the referendum, we would have to pass an ordinance.
Of course, okay. And so that means that everybody would have to use our service then? Instead of, hey, we pick one service and then, I think I wanna go with somebody else.
Correct.
But, and if you do go with somebody else, you still have to pay on a monthly basis, and then you pay for the one that you would decide to go to besides, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why they'd wanna do that, but sometimes,
Correct, I think we have a similar setup with garbage.
okay.
Rob, just for Bob's sake, the caretaker up at Coleman's called me earlier this week. Of course, they had some wreckage up there last week with the high water. And she asked me if she could haul it out to our dumpster, or should she get Tri-City? And I just told her, go call Tri-City, that way they can deal with it. Otherwise, we gotta go pick it up and haul it, so that's what happened there. That was sheetrock carpet, just so you know.
Which is trash.
Cost of containers, that's separate from this?
Cost of containers is included in
So,
the monthly cost.
Where I was going with my question about you going in with the utility bill, you live in apartment A and you're charged for that fee, that's now your container, not the property container, and you move out of the city.
Correct. So, and that's gonna have to be built into the contracts. So the way that we spec'd it out is that, that the cart be costed to the monthly fee. That should have been built into the cost that we're
I mean,
spending.
I think it should be the property owners.
Own?
Like for my
Like
duplex,
as a rental property.
I should
it'd
have
be
to
part of-
purchase them for my tenants.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is, I mean, you get to pick up and move the cart, I mean, that's,
The way we did this, I'm Gary Harder from Harder's Quick Cleanup, and the way we did this is it's our container. So when somebody moves out of the property, it just stays there, it's our container. It's not the landlord's, it's not the tenants, it's my container.
You the same way?
Yeah, I'm Gary with Hilltopper now. You got me kinda confused, cause in the bid spec it said that if the container goes, if it disappears, it's on the hauler. We know the hauler can't go back to the resident or the city and charge for them. So if you lose a cart, that's your bad luck.
Their cart,
You
yeah.
you gotta replace that cart. So if your house cart disappears, the cart has to be replaced, and that's in the bid. So they can't come back and say, you lost it, now we're gonna charge you.
Correct.
So the homeowner or the tenant pays for the lost.
Nope, that's the hauler's
That's the
loss.
hauler's
Oh,
cost.
That's still the
So
hauler.
if somebody is renting, I think you said you had rental property, if your renter moves out and takes the cart and it disappears, then I move in and I don't have a cart, the hauler has to replace that cart at no charge. And that was in the bid.
The issue is.
So the carts aren't owned by
Correct, the
resident.
hauler owns the
yeah,
carts,
correct.
they're hauler-owned carts, and the
Okay.
city will never have to pay for them. The resident will have to, or will never have to pay for it, because if they disappear, that was in the bid, that's how bids were figured.
Okay. Well, I mean, then that answers my question.
I think
because
I know-
if you're a renter and you move from, point A to point B, you could have multiple carts or.
Yeah, we leave that responsibility with the hauler, because the hauler's gonna be in the best position to be able to control that. I mean,
If a
as
cart's
far-
damaged by your equipment or
if it's-
whatever,
yeah, correct.
you have to bring it, replace it, and
So damaged cart is replaced or taken care of by the
By the hauler.
hauler.
So for the term of the contract, any damage, any missing, is the hauler responsibility.
So if a tenant is not happy with their cart because it looks kind of grungy, it's falling apart and all this sort of thing, they would contact you and let you know. And
The hauler direct,
the
yeah.
hauler directly. Okay.
Any questions on the RFP itself or the bids? We have Gary here and Mr. Harder here to answer questions related to the specific bids.
Is a recommendation based on cost?
Well, it's based off the totality of the submittal of the bid. So what I did was,
I didn't see much difference other than the early part, which.
yeah, so if you,
Had less no's, and then the last part, which is the bid price was
Yep.
different.
so if you take a look, so on the front page, the grading criteria, the grading was based on, so bid price is the first one there. Conformance to specs, understanding the requirements of the service provision, experience with the hauler, record, clarity and organization of the proposal, ability to perform the collections during the weekdays and off-peak hours. And then the proposed collection. I mean, both haulers are experienced haulers. Both haulers are proposing 95 or 96 gallon cart. Both haulers have, the proper facilities, they have the proper, they provided the proper performance bonds of both, as far as working with municipals around the same size, they provided both extensive lists of that. Their, their tagging system is comparable. If you go through the bid itself, they're both comparable. And then it comes down to bid price and, how heavily do you weigh some of these items per se that was submitted on the submittal list. I mean, the biggest difference here on the submittal list, if we go down the list, the proposed map route, a proposed map route was not submitted by either of the vendors. And in Hilltopper's bid, they did state that they would propose a route map when the contract is signed. To me, I was supposed, that makes sense. And I would suppose that that would be in the same situation as Harbs, because we would want to make sure that we know proposed map or proposed route before we sign any kind of vendor contract.
And Gary, again with Hilltop, and the only reason we did that is because we didn't know if you had a specific way you wanted routes. You know, this is our heavy school area, we don't want, you know, I mean, children, we don't want big trucks in this area at 7 AM. So it was hard to pull a route out, and that's why we said, whichever way it went, if it was awarded to Hilltopper, we'd sit down and say, hi, you know, is there an area you don't want us in at a certain time? And then obviously try to map it out, you know, the most efficient way. I mean, we can't be at one end of town jumping all over. And as long as I have the floor, if I, you know, could mention, and I understand price is a huge thing. I mean, I get that, but, you know, we do have a recycle center here. We've been in the Arcadia area for, you know, 3 to 5 years here. We, you know, being a taxpayer, I would hope that would sway a little bit, you know, we're up here funding the recycling for our Ashley Furniture for that huge event that they have in the summer. We got a pretty heavy presence up here, and I would hope that would be considered, you know, before you make a decision.
And then going down the list here, the list of vehicles used, again, Hilltoppers did submit that list, Harders did not. Harders stated on their cover letter that they would use, let's see here. Yeah, a truck with automatic pickup, that's what they use.
Why is that so important to know?
Well, we wanna know what's on our roads, weight, etc. But, I mean, does it automatically disqualify their bid from contention? I don't believe that it should. Again, we don't spec anywhere that it automatically would disqualify them.
Such as, excuse me, but such as real noisy vehicles or
Correct.
this type of a thing?
No, we did put into the bid, or the request, that if a vendor should not submit a full packet, then the council has the right to reject the bid because of that. It doesn't necessarily state that we automatically do it. So again, at the end of the day here, you know, in the last submittal here, the difference is proposed modifications, conditions, or qualifying statements. Hilltopper submitted a document and Harders did not. And Hilltoppers, so it's more in regards to modification of the language, correct?
Basically, things that were pulled out of the contract, you know, I mean, and just it specified it. If there's no modification submitted, what was written in your terms is agreed upon. So everything that was written in the RFP, if this modification was not included, and it didn't have to be, but that means the other hauler or haulers are in agreement with what you've written, and they will
Correct.
follow that for the full term of the agreement.
Correct, so it's page 6. You'll have to count them because I don't have page numbers on them. But the proposed changes or conditions, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of them. The first one is states that the bid is based on a bi-weekly single stream collection on Wednesdays beginning at 7 AM. Are you guys there yet? I can wait.
So page 6?
Page 6, yeah.
I count the orange one.
The actual pages, so page 11.
Page 11?
It looks like this. Page 11.
Okay. Based on single stream collection on Wednesday?
No, and we, so the way that we bid spec'd it was single stream collection bi-weekly or weekly. And so they specified that their bid would be bi-weekly single stream collections on Wednesdays, beginning at 7 AM.
Single stream, meaning?
All into one cart.
Oh.
So again, the second one, Hilltopper will provide a collection route if awarded the contract. The third item here, section 4.4, the volume of recyclables that will be collected will be required to fit in the designated cart. Any extra recyclables can be taken to the Arcadia Recycling, Hilltopper, Arcadia Division, Material Recovery Facility during regular business hours or at no charge to the city or resident. And also replacement of containers will be at the property owner's expense along with delivery and or removal fees. In addition, if homeowner moves and takes container with, new homeowner will be responsible for expense of the replacement cost and delivery fee.
He just said, replacement cost of the cartridge will be by the,
Yeah, so this is a proposed change to the spec. And so by accepting the bid, you would accept the proposed change. So the next item here is that delivery of recycling containers, delivery of the recycling containers to the residents will occur during the month of December. Next one is all City of Arcadia residential dwelling units will be covered under the contract and billed for, regardless of whether the resident chooses to utilize the single stream cart service. Next item, 6.3, under section 6.3, Hilltopper will provide residents with educational flyers. However, due to the continuous change in recycling markets, we would not be unable to place stickers on the recycling containers. The container lid will be yellow and clearly marked as recyclables. And then the last point here under section 6.5, the city will only be allowed to suspend recycling collection services for residents whose properties are unoccupiable, condemned, or not vacant. So those are the proposed conditions, changes to what we have picked up.
How many units roughly would be picked for each building?
So we did do a count and we're estimating 1,086 residential units.
1,086, you said?
Right.
Let's just go to residential.
Residential, so that includes some, so that's single attached, single detached, duplexes, triplexes, and then particular multi-residentials that have.
Something like Subway or bars, or nobody would have this.
No. Unless they're upstairs.
so what do they use?
The commercial businesses,
Yeah,
they use commercial dumpsters.
for recycling?
They don't, I don't know, they, you know, it depends on the business, and whether or not they contract out, like Tim, you know, they contract out individually. But the city's not gonna get involved in commercial and industrial services for recycling. We did, state in the RFP that the vendors would be allowed to individually contract with those businesses.
Oh, okay. Because I would think we should encourage commercial businesses as well, because sometimes they're the biggest user of they have the biggest amount of recyclables. You know, especially bars, you know, and bottles and cans and cardboard, with maybe other businesses, a lot of cardboard and all this sort of thing.
Some bars do recycle, and I think it's picked up since Gary's taken over. You probably can attest to
We
that.
service businesses, the cardboard and the glass, not all.
But they contact you on the individual.
Correct, some bring it to us and some have us haul.
They pick up our cardboard.
In, you know, other businesses, you know.
The city
for,
as
for,
well?
For say Ashley, I mean, they have their own, they do their own recycling.
What about the city itself, you know, for some of our,
Recycling?
yeah.
As far as I know, I think individually, yeah, I don't know if City Hall
Hall
does.
does, or if you got stuff that.
They must
needs to
be
be
Sally's
recycled.
us.
Jan's got all the
Sandy drops
cans
it off.
around us.
Yeah, we take it up there typically.
But we have a tremendous amount, I mean, we have a pickup load of cardboard probably every week, so it's just saves us that hassle having that cardboard dumpster.
Yeah.
Depends on what we're doing, but.
Must be buying too much stuff in other words.
And it doesn't take that long to take it up there and unload it and get it done, right?
Well, they come and pick it up by us.
Oh, they do,
We
okay.
have one of their dumpsters, or collectors for.
So that's a good point. I do wanna say that, so if referendum does fail, then basically we would be rejecting both bids and we would have to review, where we wanna go with recycling. One, continue with, the recycling center, or two, reduce the property tax, or the property tax levy in order to pay for the service, or three, some other alternative. Paul?
So this will run us a little over $8,000 a week, and is that right, at $825 a pickup?
Well,
This
$89.59.
bill will be billed back to the residents.
Well, that was my next question.
Yeah.
Correct.
So what's the cost gonna be to each resident that's gonna,
So-
this
That
resolution?
times two every month, right?
Well,
Well, it's either gonna be $12.10 or it's gonna be $16.50.
That
No,
fee is a monthly
the
fee.
fee is
so
a
you
monthly
take that
fee.
fee times your
Yeah.
thousand
the
eight
fee,
or
the
whatever.
fee is a monthly fee for one unit.
Okay, so
Oh,
So it's $6,
Okay,
5 cents, or
5 cents a month.
$8.25.
that's a month, okay, it's not
Yeah.
quite, because it says bi-weekly pickup. So
Yeah,
it's just- that's just one.
So it's picked up bi-weekly,
It's picked up bi-weekly,
the
paid for.
prices per month.
The way that we would do it is that we would charge, as part of our monthly billing, utility billing, we would have a fee on there that would say recycling fee. So that, because we have to separate it out from our utility cost. So whether it be $6 or $8, it'll show up on their monthly charge. That would be paid to the city, we would administer the utility billing, and then I would believe we would receive like a monthly bill from, or a monthly invoice from the vendors, and we would pay that from our.
And the reason we have to do this is because we've never charged for recycling services previously. And Act 10, which was put in place in 2011,
11.
makes, we'd either have to reduce the budget or have a referendum to charge the customers. If we weren't gonna charge them, we would have to reduce the budget X amount.
Right.
I mean,
Cause it would be considered a additional tax, what it amounts to be.
so really the difference, I mean, price-wise, Gary's done a great job, but we have to look out really what it comes down. How much do we wanna do the recycling? You know, the resident's gonna say, well, they wanna do the cheapest way possible if we're gonna be charged for it. Which works out to about, I'll say $25, a little over $25 per month.
But if they wanna go the cheapest route, isn't this encouraging them to do it? To recycle?
Right,
Yes.
right,
that's- Yeah.
right, and that's what I'm
That's
saying,
what
I
I'm
mean,
reading, that's what I'm reading here.
it might be a tough sell either way.
Well,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's gonna go to the voters. I mean,
Right.
They're gonna have to either pass this referendum or not. What this bid does is it provides, some information about what type of service it is, how much it's gonna cost them, you know, how is it going to be administered, things like that. And it provides us a route forward, so the information that we're giving out is true and accurate to potentially a contract that we may sign on to. That's what this does.
And the garbage pickup stays as it is.
Garbage is separate.
Red and orange bags.
Cause I bet they spend a lot more on that than they do,
On garbage?
than when they go on this.
Well, you hopefully spend
Yeah,
less.
and, I mean, we
Oh,
can't.
yeah, yeah.
They'll spend less on this.
All right.
Right, that's
Right.
the
They do on
cost
the
of the
garbage
bags.
Right, and
Plus the
with,
No,
recycling.
with the, I mean, that's,
the unintended, whether you wanna call it benefit or not. But the more you recycle, obviously, as a goal, you know, if that is the goal of the city, the more we recycle, the less waste you can expect. Therefore, it's going to be less cost and less revenue on the trash side. And that directly affects Raleigh and his crew.
Can I just ask a question of Hilltoppers while they're here? Are you open 5 days or 6 days a week?
5 days, Monday through Thursday, off Friday.
And then
open
Saturday. Okay,
And
so,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. The
I was
hours,
just gonna say, we have last year when we changed the contract and we eliminated the curbside pickup that they had, we offered curbside pickup. I'm just giving you some insight of the response, and we've got 10 customers that use the curbside pickup. Everybody else brings it to us.
okay.
I shouldn't say everybody, I mean whoever uses it.
You guys do a wonderful job up there, I'll tell you that.
And I use you on the pickup, that's a great job.
Thank you. And that center probably will close if, once this goes single stream, even whether we were here or not. So that would, that will make a change.
Correct. That is a consequence of going to curbside, so obviously the demand's not gonna be there.
Couple quick questions. Where do you guys ask the residents to put these containers by the street? So the front of the containers, even with the curb, having a curb in the driveway like that, or how do you guys do that?
It depends upon the house, each house, most houses are the same, you just put it by the driveway,
Okay,
so that way, a car doesn't block it. So you can either, if your mailbox is on one side, put it on the other side of your driveway, so that way the.
but it's inside the curb line.
Inside the curb line, if you're on a back street, if you got it in the if in the street, we don't really care if it's, but.
Right, and how do you deal with, if
if
you're gonna
it's
pick it
on-
Wednesday, how do you deal with 12 inches of snow Tuesday night? We're out early and we're not that we're gonna be out there bowling for your containers, but, chances are some of them are gonna get knocked over. How do you deal with that? I mean,
Perfect time of year to ask that, we've dealt with it all winter, you just get out and pick the car up.
okay,
That way, and we ask not to, use them as, pins and hit them, and nobody
Right.
intentionally does.
Right, maybe
But
they have a
that's the
little
nature of
contest.
the beast.
how many did you get today?
Yeah, that's the nature of the beast, the driver has to get out.
Yeah.
And that for the snow purposes.
Yeah, and Raleigh, you did such a great job in Arcadia that you go out during those events and pick trash.
Well, I just don't wanna be picking, 52 of these things out of the park at the end of the year when we're cleaning up out there and going, here guys, here's your carts back. They went through the snow blower, but here they are,
And during the winter, a lot of times people won't send them out when it's snowing.
Okay.
Just because they, well, it's just a hassle dragging it in and out, especially if you're getting 10 inches of snow. It's just,
Right.
And then they're big enough where they can go as 2 times most places can, and if you.
I
you
just,
can't-
I
you
didn't
just kinda
know, so
store
I
it
asked,
and-
I mean.
Yeah, and because it is a rather new service to the residents, there's gonna have to be some a learning curve here. And with any kind of new service that you roll out, you're gonna have to do that.
And go ahead.
You say the center would close, I would close no matter what, no matter if the referendum passes. You would probably close the recycling center.
Time
Because you
will tell,
probably- you probably
tell everything, yeah, I mean.
But you probably wouldn't get enough
Correct.
day-to-day
At that
business.
point, once, because now residents, if you go with the Harder's Quick Cleanup, residents can have stuff outside the bag, where we didn't allow that, but we allowed they could use our center as they continue to do it. You obviously would not be charged for that, but residents could do that. But with a Harder Quick Cleanup bid, they can have as much as they want outside the cart, their driver will get out and pick everything up, so. Yeah, I don't see no need for the center, other than there's local communities, that's not a threat saying that's what's
No,
gonna happen,
and
I just.
the reason I say this is, I'm thinking, I always look at it as, obviously we're the city, but, really we're the Arcadia community. You know that, you
Oh, yeah.
have town residents up there, the town of Arcadia uses it as a recycling center. That's something that they would not have access to, so, obviously I look out for the city first and foremost, but, we are the community, and
You're the
you
staple.
know what their biggest worry is, that
Yeah.
stuff ends up in the ditch.
Yeah, you're the staple, just like in La Crosse area, La Crosse is the staple. What La Crosse does, everybody kinda, you're the hub. You make this center operate. We lose this area, like I said, now you're talking Wamedy and Glencoe in Township of Arcadia, there's no point. I can't have a guy up here running a recycle center for limited material, other than raising their rates, which, I'm telling you as a board, how do you like that?
Right.
So if push comes to shove in the future, and we're not gonna hope that happens, the town of Arcadia has 2 dumpsters up there, correct? They would have to take that on their property then?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, that's, and
Just
that's
so
been,
we, just so we address that ahead of time.
yeah,
And that's been discussed.
that's been discussed, yeah.
Discussed
Yeah,
before,
that's, so that would make no difference, it's just, you know, a lot of people, I mean, our busy day is Saturday, I don't know if anybody's been over there on Saturday, I mean, yeah, it's, you know, that's the aluminum buyback day. So it rocks and rolls, I mean, and that could be enough, because if the bid does say that the people don't have to use the cart, they can take their recycling elsewhere. So the aluminum could be saved out, they could bring us just strictly aluminum and not the glass and the plastic, that's, you know, not really all that valuable. That would be enough to keep us going, I mean, we're buying all the aluminum at that point. So again, and I apologize, like I said, if I come across, we're not locking shop if this happens. People today aren't very interested in curbside, because we've offered it for $10 a month now, and like I said, I think we've got 5 or 6 people that use our curbside service. Everybody brings it to us. I think they like our new guy, they like to visit.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a good.
Kudos to him.
But I like curbside. I'm lazy.
I mean, are we looking?
Well, you're old.
Are we looking at, you know, awarding a possible bid tonight?
Well, it would be a tentative bid to the most responsible hauler, and would be tentative to the referendum phase.
Because your next meeting is the 3rd, election's the 2nd, you'd know then on the 3rd, you could put it on the agenda and then you'd know.
I'm just asking.
That's why vote now and we don't know what to, wait till the 3rd.
But don't we need to know, aren't we trying to educate the public and let them know what this is going to cost before the election?
That's what
Yeah.
and you got 2 weeks to do it.
So you gotta take
Well,
them,
You
give
don't
them
know
a
which
choice.
cost.
You gotta know.
You don't know which
You
cost.
gotta give them a choice, I mean, as far as what cost it is. So they know what it is. That's right.
So,
I think
you know, we're kind of running out of time here as far as educating, right?
That's fine, like I said, I'm all about a group,
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on how much information you want to get out to your voters.
Well, I think, like I said earlier, I think if you're gonna wanna do it, it has to be, the customer's gonna want the cheapest thing. Point blank. I mean, it's $2.20 a month. Doesn't sound like a lot to some of us. However, it is a lot to others. You know, we just discussed that our low and moderate numbers are at 55%.
55.79, yeah.
55% of our residents are low and moderate income, $2 is a lot of money.
It's 70-some bucks a year, so 12 times 6 is what?
And I don't mean that to sound bad one way or the other, I'm just,
I completely, as a board, I understand.
Okay.
Nope, one thing on your educating of the residents, and we're finding this firsthand, because we are right now doing a municipal in our area, City of La Crescent. They're doing the cart rollout system, and one thing they didn't do is inform the people of, you know, you're paying for this service no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's been the biggest problem. They're like, we don't want this cart, take the cart. Well, then they find out, well, you're being billed for it, one way or the other. So you wanna make sure when you put this out, no matter whom you choose, that you are gonna pay for this service no matter what, whether you want it or not, it's coming. And that'll help your voting, that response is what I'm saying. Otherwise, you're gonna get the people that watch it and then you're gonna just be pounded, trust me, it's.
You pay
A lot.
$99 a year, or you pay $72.60 a year.
you taking good notes there?
Yeah, you're right, that transparency is crucial.
Because the people that want the curbside pickup, you're already paying.
For $10 a month.
Right.
So that's.
But you're gonna make sure that want curbside pickup, you're gonna want to make sure you go to the polls to vote for it, in favor of it. The people that don't necessarily want it may not go, because they're not gonna know that they're gonna be billed for it.
But see,
That's basically what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying, that way you're informing the residents, you're getting billed or not, you know, just so they're aware of it. And again, in our bid, just so you know, there was literature that will be passed out, and I'm sure Harder's is the same way. There'll be information when the carts are delivered that, you know, tells them what can be recycled, what can't be recycled, the pickup days and things like that, just so the hauler will provide, you know, educational material if and once it's awarded and the deliveries are made.
And is that something, I mean, that we wanna make sure that the town of Arcadia knows that if this passes, I mean, we can reach out to them. And let
Well, I
them
think a
know,
lot of small communities are watching us.
and let them know
I-
that. you
I
know.
receive calls about what we're doing, why we're doing, and every small community is running into recycling issues.
And I think it's an important issue, because we got a little too much stuff out there that's not being recycled. Think about the stuff that's in the ocean. I mean, it just boggles my mind, because we don't have to deal with that here, but.
Well, the good news is we've doubled the material that's
Yeah,
been
but if we
recycled.
don't deal with it, somebody else
We
is.
cleaned out Schultz Pond one year, filled 2 dumpsters with the plastic. that we filled out.
Oh, that kind of ocean, okay.
Well, and then we're, all the
water.
stuff that goes down the river, we
Yeah.
don't see. and it ends up
Mississippi and
there
then
too.
down.
Raleigh knows all the stuff that go to the park in the month, go to see all the stuff that went through.
A month, you think it'll be melted down by then?
I'm being
I
optimistic.
think we'll be cleaning up the day of broiler days.
That's true.
Don't be so
I
negative.
said it soon as bring this up.
Gosh. So I guess I would entertain
Here, I
a
have to
motion
vote.
to accept, okay. I'd entertain a motion to tentatively accept one of the 2 proposals. As Bill stated with the,
Contingent on
Contingent on the
or,
passing.
The passing on the referendum.
right,
I'll make a motion, we accept the bid from Harder's.
motion by Feltus,
I'll second that.
by Colstead. Any other comments or questions? Clerk, call the roll.
Mezek,
Yes.
Colstead,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Fetch,
Yes,
Feltus.
Yep.
Motion carries. Comments, questions? If none, we move on.
My comment would be
Thank
to get this education out there.
Get the education out, and I think we still need to work with Gary in regards to working with the town of Arcadia as well.
Yeah, we're still contracted with.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
till the end of the year, so.
Yeah, we're not locking up tomorrow.
yeah, thanks for what you're doing.
You bet, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the bid here. We've done, you know, we did a city of La Crosse on Alaska, we've done this, transition from going from curbside and that to cart pickup. It's gone smooth, you know, as smooth as can be expected. Once again, we've done it a lot before, we'll make the transition, as smooth as possible. We work very hard to make sure that it's done right and, make sure that it's done right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
It's Gary and Gary, right?
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. You bet. Okay, thanks again.
Yeah, so we pay our own transfer and recycling, and then we get paid out of wherever the vendors are in there. And then, you know, if it's snowing, we just postpone it. It's all up to the members.
Like their parking up there. It's a big highway. You're talking 200,000.
Yeah, it was important that we get exactly what we wanted in the bids, and so when we
Anyway, let's move
started
on.
changing it.
We do need it.
Todd, 5A Ambulance Board 2018 Annual Report. You'll be done in an hour?
Remember, Todd, what I got in my pocket?
Everybody's looking at me.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, just, everybody's got a report here, the ambulance, board, and what's happening, and here's what's happening. Right now, the ambulance, people, the chairman is working with, the Wanik Foundation to kind of get their P's and Q's and their financial situation in order. And so they're not moving ahead really rapidly because we have 47,500 in pledges, 257,648 in actual money on hand, so that's, what do you call it, that's about $300,000. And this thing is going to be costing about $1 million approximately. The land is not included in the value of what is in hand, which is approximately $90,000. But, so they're moving ahead, and it's not a fast-moving situation. Who knows when they're gonna put a shovel in the ground yet. That's why Cletus is talking to the Wanick Foundation. So, wouldn't it be nice, in 2020, it'll be 50 years celebrated, the service, the ambulance service has been, that was celebrating a 50 years in 2020. If we could, the ambulance would be on board by then. Maybe some people will ask, well, why can't we get other ambulance people to come in? Oh yeah, we can, but it's gonna cost money. There was a task, thinking about a proposal apparently by Mayo that would cost $1 million. Right now, there's a $400,000 budget that the ambulance service does. And you gotta keep in mind that a lot of these people are volunteers. And you can see there are EMTs, there are people, I try to remember all of these alphabet thing here. And I can't remember it all. Something, NRP is something that was a registered, but they're EMTs and then all the way on up to almost a doctor type of a thing. So that's about all I would have here to let you know, unless others have some other information. Bill, you said you might have, or did I cover it?
You covered it, so you know, you had talked about property, and that was donated from Daryl and Lazar, Glen Wright, and that came across this table in regards to approving the certified survey map to subdivide that property. So what used to be, I believe, approximately 3 acres was split in half. The front lot is 0.98 acres, I believe, to be exact, and that is the piece that's being donated to the effort.
Okay. And so I was told that it's approximately $90,000, but that's,
Sounds about right.
yeah.
I have a question, maybe you don't know this, runs by the response disposition dispatch to en route. I understand they're dispatched and then they're en route roughly 6.19 minutes. En route to scene, that means from the time they leave the building to the time they're at the scene, correct?
No.
From when they get the call to when they leave the front door.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
that's
a
a
dispatch
another
to en
response
route, that's 6.19 minutes.
Yeah.
But then there's an en route to scene, so that's from the time they leave the
building.
shed to the time they arrive on the scene of the call, correct?
Correct.
I'm
I
guessing.
would think so, yeah.
Mhm.
And then they're on the scene for roughly 31 minutes, correct? And what's destination arrival?
Take a good half hour to get to Whitehall, unless I'm driving.
It takes 32 minutes? Not hardly. I've seen you driving that moped before. So the destination arrival is from the scene,
Average.
from
From
the
the time they
scene?
leave the scene to where they're taking the patient.
Okay. That was my,
And usually it goes to Whitehall.
Well, yeah, because if you go to La Crosse, it's gonna be a lot more, I don't think.
well, that's what draws that
And
number.
some drivers.
That's some drivers.
That's the only question, I just wanted to. Sure,
I'm
it's on
heavy
the same
foot.
page.
Oh,
Is there any other comments, questions?
you still got that boot on? Have your foot different.
I've got one, Rob,
Sure.
and I've asked this question before. They're putting this huge parking lot up there, 20, 30 stalls, and I was told it's for EVOC training, which is Emergency Vehicle Operators Course.
That they do
I
once
mean-
a year, right?
That they do once a year. I mean, the school's got a huge parking lot. You know, you got how many people on this ambulance crew? 15? You got that street that there's no traffic on. I mean, as a taxpayer, I'm asking, do we really need to stick another, you know, how much does that parking lot cost? Even if it costs 75,000 more, for what?
Well, parking spots are extremely expensive. I wanna say they're like $1,500 a spot. Does that sound right?
Well, you know, there'll be curb and gutter around it and all that good stuff, and then blacktop and all that. And 20 years from now, they'll have to replace the blacktop, so that's gonna be an
And
expense.
I brought that up at the last, when they were here and showed us.
I'm asking this as John Q. taxpayer.
Well, I think we have a lot of, and that was kind of the expression of the whole council. You know, there's a lot of parking, and there's a lot of parking lots in Arcadia. If we're gonna do EVOC training once a year.
Fire department does it at high school.
Yeah, and technically by state law, you're only required to do it every other year, and we have to do it too, and we don't have a
But
permit.
even, I'm just saying, even once a year, I mean,
Right.
$1,500 a spot, I think there was 30-some spots in that lot.
Yeah, and
That's a lot.
I believe our site plan has changed, because they've changed engineers. And I don't know what's going on with project management and project lead there, but, my understanding is that it's continuously changing, so I would encourage that those conversations continue in regards to that parking lot.
And for those, I think it's good to come to our meetings.
Right, and I think that's something, Doc, make sure you bring up, that, you know,
Yeah.
that's some concerns. Obviously, we're the,
I could see it was gonna be a helipad, but
yeah, we're the largest payer into their budget.
Mm-hmm, we certainly are.
I mean, it just blows my mind, a 3-stall shed with a couple of living or bedrooms and a kitchenette and a living room costs $1 million. When the land was donated, it blows my mind. And I don't know who's paying for all of it, well, I do, or some of it. And I'm sure that's influence, but it just seems like a lot of money for a service that my money's on, that won't be here in 10 years, because you can't get the volunteers.
Along those lines, can I just ask, they had to call Whitehall
Right, County.
this past weekend 2 or 3 times because we didn't have enough people on duty.
That's happened more than once, too.
Okay, I'm just saying, that's another thing that we're gonna invest in this and we don't have the people to back it.
Well, you can look at that, and by having a good, nice unit here, maybe it'd be attractive to people to wanna work there too, as far as a volunteer. Like I say, most of them are volunteers.
Well, I think the ambulance does a nice job. I mean, obviously, everybody knows where I live. But I don't time them, I'm not quite that bad, but, you know, from when the fire truck or the fire guys go by and the fire trucks leave and the ambulance goes by, I say it's considerably longer.
But we're not the only community doing this.
I understand.
Yellsville is suffering,
Right.
Tupelo,
But
Ettrick is also.
But I look at it as those 2 people that know they're on call.
Right.
You have 30 firemen that don't necessarily know that. I mean, they know they're on call, but they're on call 24/7. Those 2 people know they're on call and could be in a living quarter pretty close. And our firemen
Right, that part of it, I'm
get
not
out there a
disputing.
hell of a lot quicker.
What I'm saying is, I think in 10 years, there ain't gonna be anyone left. They're gonna turn around and they're gonna say, well, we spent $1.1 million on this building, and Tri-State's gonna come in and guess what's gonna happen? They're gonna say, we'll buy your 3 ambulances for $100,000 apiece, we'll give you $200,000 for the building. You just lost half of what you invested. That's my opinion as a
we're
taxpayer.
making nail ambulance service now.
And you know, the good thing is, you know, the service is still based in Arcadia. I mean, I guess I'd be really concerned when you look at some of the numbers of the other communities. You know, the length of time it takes to get to the town of Burnside or the city of Independence. And we're fortunate over 50% of the calls are in the city of Arcadia, that the ambulance service is located here.
You know, if you gotta go to Dodge or Wamedy,
It takes a long time and yet they pay in, you know. And,
Yeah, what happens if we have to get somebody from way outside, you know, for mail or whatnot? Like I say, it's gonna cost, we can get it, but it's gonna cost money.
Right.
It's gonna cost money, so having a facility here that, was something that's gonna last a while, but like Raul's got a concern there, and it's a good concern. But you gotta keep in mind that these people are here and they're from here, and we serve, what, 8 communities, it says on here?
8 or 9,
they
yeah.
need to
Yeah.
scale their parking lot down. make it more affordable project.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah, we can express those, send it over to
So we should, I mean, I'll be there and I will do that. But the thing is it'd be nice to have other people there to support that idea too.
Sure.
If you've got a concern, come and talk about it, because these people they listen. So,
Maybe a letter from the council and the mayor. would
yeah,
also-
if we were concerned about the size of the parking lot, maybe that might help reduce the cost.
You guys meet monthly
Quarterly.
or quarterly?
Quarterly is.
So when's the next one?
I think it's in April, isn't it?
Let's see.
Cause the fire is in April too.
I think they're the same month.
Yeah, I don't have it here.
All right, well, you can get that over to them. We'll keep it.
Yeah.
Emergency management update, Diana?
Just obviously people are aware because we know what we've been through in the last week for flooding and things of that nature. But just to kind of give a brief update, in the last probably 3-4 weeks or so, myself and Jeff Halverson had put together a letter, which most of you guys have gotten in the mail, because we had decided that we needed to be a little bit more proactive in getting the community to understand things that they can do on themselves, so they don't look back at the council and the city and say, well, why didn't you give us these recommendations? So we spent some time putting that together. With it also being said, Jeff and I and Raleigh and Bill and Rob have been dealing with obviously high water levels from the last week and things of that nature. But with that being said, some of the questions that have come up that we've been looking at is to what do we do as a community when it comes to sandbag availability to our residents and sand availability to our residents. Some communities have the luxury of having their sand plant within their community that gives them the bags it for them and gives them the sand, such as Independence and Whitehall, so they're able to offer that up for free. At this time, the bags that we have as a city for emergency management purposes are for our city's infrastructure and things of that nature. I mean, Raleigh has some made up, Tim has his own made up for the power plant, and then we also have a reserve that are not filled at this time. But with that being said, those bags were allotted to us through the county emergency management. What needs to happen going forward is the council needs to make a decision as to a policy that we have in regards to, do we give bags out, do we sell bags, do we ask businesses in the community to sell bags and or divide them up, and if we do give them out, who's can keep track of who gets them and how many, and or do we get sand for free and where do we put it, and then who designates that. So there's a lot of decisions and a lot of questions that Bill and I have talked about, and we've had an emergency management meeting this last week as well, so it's kind of where we're at. There's a lot of
Then once the sand touches flooded
what ifs.
water, it's now contaminated sand, it's now the DNR, which has to be disposed of at an expense. It's not
And
just
Bill
supposed to
has
be dumped
reached
in
out
the
to
river.
La Crosse and
And I reached out to La Crosse County in regards to that and getting a reduced rate for soil, contaminated soil is pretty much what it is. So that's all, we're all set up and ready to go for that. All we need to do is let them know ahead of time that we're taking that stuff down there. But
It's good for people to know that it's not as easy as dumping it back in the creek or on the dike or wherever in a ditch somewhere that some people would do. It's
correct.
they consider it contaminated, and we have to do it if there's a cost to us, which again affects our budget and the taxpayers. Go ahead.
If it's not moistured or wet, it's not considered contaminated, correct?
correct.
Well,
Okay,
it can be wet if it's from the rain, but it can't be from flood waters.
that's what I'm saying, so then you wouldn't have to worry about,
Correct.
so there's two,
But they
you're
would always
looking at
wanna
two
err
different
on the
things.
side
Right.
of caution,
Yeah, they,
right? I mean,
Does anybody know what high crush charges?
So we've made the contacts with High Crush. High Crush will give us sand, that's not a problem. We would just have to truck it, they'll give it to us for free, but with that being said, if the city of Independence, Blair, Taylor, Hickston, and Whitehall want it before us, they're getting it first because that's their area that they're in, those communities.
What about CSI?
That's also, we can get sand from them as well.
Because
Okay.
Blair and Hickston and Taylor, they're right in their backyard, that
Right.
should be, that should be
But-
not a problem at all.
Right, But
we're
with
fighting
that
with
being
it.
said, we can get the sand, that's not the problem, is where are we gonna have a reserve of it to put it? Cause when all,
Is it
Hell
bagged up
makes
or in a pile?
on a pile,
You bag your own,
correct,
correct?
yes.
Right, but isn't
But
that
if you
true?
need it, you come up there, you pick up the bag, you pick up the sand, you bag your bags and take them to,
Take them home.
They've got their little deal now that they bought, right?
It's a $12,000 thing, yeah, it's in
Yeah.
the paper.
Would they make them for us?
I don't know that,
So that Diana, that number that you gave me, finally they got back to me. They wouldn't make them for us,
Okay.
but I think that they'll make them for the fire department. That's what I
Right,
got
'cause
out of it.
Independence and Whitehall Fire Department went there and assisted with the making of those, and that's why those cities got them the way they did.
But I
think
gathered
they
from
had
when
their
this
own
guy
bags.
called me back that our fire department could get them.
Okay.
That's what I gathered.
So it's emergency management
Mhm.
going to a fire department.
Okay, let's go
It's-
back.
It's harder to say, it's easier to say no to a family or resident than it is to a fire department. I mean, just in general.
2.5, 3 years ago, I came with the suggestion that we get a frame for that hook lift truck, put a box on it. I figured we could put 600 to 700. We kind of put it on the back burner because of the Army Corps project. Didn't know, because it's gonna cost $4,000 to $5,000 to set this thing up. But I'm sure Jeff Alverson, the sweet talker that he is, if we could set that up, he could figure out a way that the city would haul that box would belong to the fire department. Just a thought.
Well, I think that's
And
something,
I've got a spot to set it up by us.
I think that's something that you guys can discuss in emergency management.
The bags don't stay good forever though, neither.
No, and that's.
Yeah,
and
they
then
get
it
exposed
comes
if
they
out
get wet.
storage.
This would be enclosed where the sun couldn't get it,
Yeah,
so.
we.
The ones I got have been in the shed for 5, 6 years,
We've had
and they're
bags
perfectly fine.
in trailers and we've taken them out of there and they're, from the cold, they get cracked and break open and.
How much does that thing that they donated cost?
For the front of the Bobcat or
Yeah.
skid steer,
12,000.
12,000.
I mean, maybe that's something that the city looks at.
What you talking
I
about?
mean, if you're gonna put,
I agree.
if you're gonna put 4 or 6 or 8,000 into that,
And if you could get some sort of a deal with the sand plant in Thompson Valley to be able to build those bags right there.
Yeah.
I'm just,
And at the same time, I agree with you, I think that's a great investment to the city. And
cause
to
they
the
bag what,
residents
20
as well.
bags at a time?
We're gonna fix this flood.
Right, but we spent 5,000 once for the box.
Oh, I,
And they do it for the fire department with their $12,000 thing, not ours.
no, I'm just saying, I think it's something that we should look at.
When you get the ice skating. rink.
where do they get the bags from? Where are they made?
That's first.
For my,
Yeah.
my,
I don't know.
so when emergency management, Dan Schreiner orders them, where does he order them from? Where are they made?
They're allotted from the state, I believe. The
Where?
state-
FEMA?
There's a lot of places that you can buy them, Bob. I got a whole list
Oh,
of
do
them.
you?
Right.
Yeah,
Local?
not anything real local, but there's some in Wisconsin, some
Okay,
in Minnesota.
okay.
I mean, I got a list
Is
of
there like a
probably a dozen
nylon or
companies.
not?
But doesn't that bag have to be a special bag for that unit that they got?
Yes.
I'm guessing.
Cause it looks like it's on drawstrings.
Yep,
Yeah, so I suppose you.
And I have a feeling after this spring, the bags are gonna be a little harder to come by.
mm-hmm.
There's a lot of communities, not, obviously throughout the United States.
Yeah, it's just not here, yeah.
So, but I think that's something that needs to be discussed in both ways.
That's fine.
Anything else, Diane?
No.
Any comments, questions?
I think we should do a little research on
We
that
got your
sheet.
letter, so we checked into flood insurance. It might be, when all this flood water goes away, you might wanna return the letter similar to that, then now maybe would be the time to
Okay.
check into flood insurance.
So you have to have
Because there's a
30 days,
30-day
yep.
waiting list, or waiting time.
Yep,
And so we could've got it, but it wouldn't have done us any good until 30 days.
okay.
That's all done.
And it's not terribly expensive, when you think about the
And that's something we
alternative.
could,
About
actually
$500
look
a
into
year.
putting in our,
I mean, that's money,
city
but compared to
newsletter.
losing
He's not in
$500
the floodplain.
I paid $3,000.
a year, I think.
Ooh.
Or 3,500, I think it was.
Mine's 28. But I'm in the floodplain, are you in? Might not be in the flood.
Just out of it.
That would make a difference.
Probably not if they redid it.
The
The river don't look so good anymore. There's been a lot of new elevations around.
It's you and Wendy out there.
Yeah, it depends when they map it, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
You had another comment there, Joe?
We should check in to see that attachment,
Yeah.
how much it actually is, and start doing some research on it?
I mean, there may be businesses that would be willing to donate towards it in our community as well, that would be effective.
Right, the only thing that
I
I
mean,
would
you get in
see
the line,
is
that's-
the skid steer we got capable of doing that. I don't know how big a skid steer they got.
I
It
don't
might
know
be a
either.
monster, you know.
Yeah, I don't either, but, I mean, look at
Right,
how
but
many
that's
bags-
something you'd have to just
You
research.
look at how many bags Golden Plum filled this last fall, or summer, was it fall or summer? And you're supposed to get 7 inches and they
Okay.
had
Give me
bags.
permission and I'll start doing some research.
250. If you
I
wanna
can
do the
give you some
research,
contact names and
It's
numbers
almost
too,
your bedtime.
to the people at High Crush.
you wanna go ahead and research it, Joe?
Give me permission and I'll do it.
Go ahead and do it.
All
I'll
right, I
get it
got time.
tomorrow if that's okay, Joe.
And if you wanna donate it, that'd even be better.
Really?
Alright, we'll move on. Hey, thanks. Number 7, at this time, I guess I would open the public hearing for the second citizen participation. Public hearing for well number 7.
And it's on the city website.
This is something we have to do to be CDBG compliant. So Bill will give us a brief on what's going on at well number 7.
And can I pass this around, and because it's the hearing for the CDBG grant, can I have you guys all sign it?
Yep.
Could somebody explain to everybody what well 7 is, and where it is?
Well 7 is behind Shopko.
Right.
Up by Violet Hanson Park, correct?
I
Yes.
understand, but it doesn't say here, so if it goes, people will say, hey, where is this thing?
I can bring up a map.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's in Ward 3.
Okay, take care of this. These are good, where'd you get these, Bill? In your pocket or what? They're kind of-
Kinda soft, yeah.
So you got a dog soon.
Do you have a napkin that goes along with it?
No.
Oh boy.
Yeah. You gotta hurry up, you got soup and sandwich here.
No wonder why you were so fast tonight. You had somewhere else to go. Now it's making sense.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a train.
I might have to sing too, I mean, if I get there in time.
Okay, so well number 7 is right here.
Oh, right there.
Why is it a different color block than the other building that's up there?
We wanted it that color, and we don't have a zoning restriction that limits it.
So it's just south exactly of Violet Hanson Park, as I
It's,
look at that, correct?
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this is Violet Hanson Park right here.
Okay.
That park actually extends
What's
over
the
to this
building
corner.
where it says Violet Hanson Park?
That's
That's the
the
electric
substation.
The tank building.
Okay, so it's south of that, okay.
South of the
Isn't
substation.
that the thing where the doors are shut and nailed shut and all the windows too and all that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, brand new facility.
Alright, let's keep on task.
Oh, sorry about that.
I got soup and sandwich tonight.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, so this is the second community participation hearing for to.
What page you on, Bill?
1.
Yeah, so it's page 1 of the slides.
Yeah, I got that on here.
So this is to meet the requirements of the CDBG program, which is the Community Development Block Grant. We applied for this in 2017 and was awarded $500,000 towards the Well 7 project. So,
And just for your knowledge, well 7 is replacing well number 3.
Yep.
Which is on Simpson and Wilson. Remember that kind of border Shanks? So that's been offline for,
Well, I wouldn't say
years.
offline, but it's
September.
inadequate.
Inadequate, yep.
You
I'll
know,
go
it
through it. I'll
costed
go,
us more to fix it, to make it compatible with the DNR, so we started research to do this project.
I'll
Probably 5 years ago.
review some of that information.
Sorry.
Yep.
Just trying to bring up.
So, the two objectives of this presentation would be to provide a review of the community development block grant program, and then the project and the project update. So the CDBG grant is provided federally, on the federal level, by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It is currently administered through the state through the Wisconsin Department of Administration. So CDBG grants, when they come through, they do lose their federal status. The goal of the program is to develop viable communities by providing decent housing, a suitable living environment, and expand economic opportunities, principally for persons of low to moderate income. To qualify for the grants, you have to qualify under one of the 3 national objectives. We qualified under the low to moderate income. At that time, we did not meet that criteria, so we had to conduct our own income surveys, and we took on that, and we found that we were over that 50% limit, 51%, well, 50% limit. The second national objective is the prevention and elimination of slum and blight. That didn't occur in the situation because it was not previously developed. And then urgent and local need. There was not an urgent need at this point. We have qualified under this section of the objective for the Myers Valley Creek project previously. So, kind of reviewing the needs, the community needs, well number 3 is not operational. We can refire it up. The firm supply with well number 3 is 2,200 gallons per minute, and what that is that's the minimum water supply that is needed to keep the city safe, and it has to do with not only drinking water but fire protection. So without well number 3, we are only providing 1,620 gallons per minute, so we are deficient. It would have cost more, would be more cost effective to build a new well over repairing well number 3. So as you can see, the numbers, we are a growing community, increasing a little bit at a time. And our business and industry has grown. The projected firm supply that is needed going into the future here, and I forget off the top of my head how far out this goes, but is 2,490. So some long-term goals and objectives. The city would like to continue to grow both residentially and on the industry side. We need to provide adequate water supply and fire protection, considering the 2 businesses that we have in town, the 2 industry. And then constructing well number 7. This is both a well and a pump house and treatment. So it provides, at least now, the space to add high pressure pumps to be able to provide the effective water pressure to new development that is higher elevation, so higher than 800 and I believe 34 feet elevation, yep. Sea level is what they call it.
So hoping that end of town is going to expand, so this will take care of that, right?
Correct. Well, anywhere where the elevation is up that high, what we would need to do is then add a pump station next to where that well is or where the reservoir is, depending on where in town that development happens. In this situation, well number 7 is over by a lot of farmland that's up high, and I believe in the past has been suggested or put into plan that would be future residential growth.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we had trouble with this one down here, the one on the hill could sustain the city, correct?
I don't know if it by itself can sustain. If one, it is comparable in pumping capacity as well number 6 and well number 5.
Okay.
So what it
Okay.
does is it balances
Okay.
balances each other
Okay,
out.
okay.
well number 5 and 6 and one's on Homestead Lane, which is off of, backs up to Highway 95. And the other one is on County, off of County.
Next to
8.
airport.
Correct. Airport, right, okay.
So again, the city received $500,000 in grant funding from this program. Some of the major funding requirements through this process is making sure that we do the reporting and documentation, not only on finance, but on payroll, since it is a federal project. There are fair housing activities that we need to partake in, and we have completed those. If you remember, there was a resolution that was adopted. There was a letter that was sent out by the mayor to the real estate and housing businesses in town. And then we also posted posters regarding fair housing. And then this is the first public hearing, the second public hearing. The first public hearing was conducted before the city applied for the grant. It was a requirement. Other dollars that come into this are dollars from the Safe Water Drinking Loan, and from that loan, we did receive $500,000 in principal forgiveness. So in all, this project received approximately $1 million in grant funds. To pay back that loan, the city did go through a rate case and increased water rate. So as far as timeline, drilling by Sam's Well Drilling started in 2017. This was before the spring of 2017, which is before we actually received the grant. The grant was awarded in 2017. We signed it a month later. Construction actually for the well excavation and the pump house moving dirt started in October of 17. The prime contractors are Waukesha Construction, Kish and Sons Electric, Municipal Well and Pump, and then TJ's Trucking and Excavating would be the demo on well 3. Once well 7 is up and running and it's been tested. So the construction is set to conclude at the end of May, early June. Again, it's going to take about a month after that to test, and then once it's confirmed that we're in good working order, well number 3 will be taken down. And then we need to close out the grant by December 31st, 2019, which is the end of the year. And then I have a bunch of pictures to show you. So this is the excavation of that site. You can see, I'm going to get my laser pointer here. This is the well. So when this was drilled, this had to be capped off. And it sat for a while until we can get started on that project. This is them filling in the foundation and the slab.
You need that for a well house, that size of a.
Wait till you
that
see what
amount of
goes in
space?
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the exterior walls being put up by the masons.
Doc, have you ever been in one of the, well, okay, I was gonna say, ask Gary, he's willing to take you.
Yeah, I see him,
Need a half a day.
yeah. Gary's good at that.
So the unique thing about this well is that it does have a rather large material storage. So it's different from the other wells. So they're able to clean out, forget what they call them. They're some type of filter. This is the equipment room on the inside. This is the main room, and this is the tank that's in there. All that plumbing. And so this had to.
Lost my battery.
So before they put on the roof and the truss, they had to put this tank in, and then once it was in, they would had been able to construct the rest of it. So you can see them working on the back side there. This is a current picture. This is I think right now they got shingles up right now, so they're working through pretty diligently. This is the front view from the southeast. This is the northeast view, corner. North view, this is the back side. Northwest view. That's all I have. Any questions in regards to the program, to low moderate income, fair housing, or the well itself?
We're compliant now?
We're compliant.
Well,
At
at one point we were
at-
CDBG compliant, we had to pass some future
We had to catch,
ordinances.
we had to catch up.
We are now. If there's no other questions, we'll move on. Actually, I'll close the public hearing, the second citizen participation, well number 7. Move on to item 8A, discussion of possible action to appoint members to the Gavany Road Joint Commission. The town of Arcadia appointed 3 people. We're gonna appoint 3 people from the city. I'd like to appoint myself, Joe Feltus, and Gary Bouch as being part of the utility commission to meet with the town of Arcadia and discuss the construction of Gavany Road, since it is a boundary road. Anything else you'd like to add to that, Bill?
Yeah, so that, the tentative or the draft agreement is in your packet, I believe. And it discusses, the creation of this commission. So it's a joint commission between the city and the town to decide, first of all, decide on the engineer that will be used, and then also to work through some of the design questions. And so that's in the agreement. One of the things that has been hung up the agreement or the negotiation is item number 11, which in our view, and in talking with Terry, if the city is going to lead on this project and is going to maintain Gavany, we want to make sure that we have the rights to do so. And so the issue that we run into here is that as a town road, that road is, that section of right-of-way is not specifically dedicated, whether through easement or by right, to the town. Actually, by statute, if it's been used as a road for a certain amount of time, it just becomes right of way. However, that does not guarantee, and I'm not an attorney, but it doesn't guarantee that the property owner cannot challenge that. And so, taking advantage of the situation at hand, and having the agreement before us, Richard Schenk does sit as a member of their commission, would be to, before we spend money on this project, is to identify exactly where that road is, so that we don't have any future disputes. And so, the town has asked for us to put the commission together before an agreement is signed, so that we can identify exactly where that road is.
So Gavany Road includes the road that goes in front of Shank's farm there?
No, it's
That's
from,
Pearl Avenue, that's Pearl
it's from
Street.
J to Pearl.
Technically, if you look at if you look at state records, Gavany bends. So it's Gavany
To Wilson,
to Wilson.
all the way to Wilson, that's what I gathered when I read this thing. So that's in front of Shank's, so you gotta get permission from them to,
Well, not, so the reconstruction project, it does not include that section that runs north and south. The reconstruction project is only the section that runs east to west, from County J to where it bends.
But school property where it meets Pearl Street.
But the town has asked that,
Okay.
that since they have a large number of miles to maintain, have asked that the city, as part of this cooperation agreement, maintain all of Gavany. So I think right now what we do is we just we plow right through there, right?
so it's Pearl and Gavany. Okay, so the farm is really on Pearl Street.
Correct.
Gavany is the,
But according to the state, Gavney actually comes up to Wilson.
that's,
But that isn't the way we've always known it.
No, that's why I said
We've
the
always
Shank farm
known
was
that-
always on Pearl.
right, right, on my street, yeah.
So I'm not gonna sit here and tell you who's right or wrong. I don't know, I just know that in the documents that I've researched, it says that's Yemi.
So basically, we wanna make sure it's, we're looking futuristically to make sure. that
T's
this
are crossed and I's are dotted.
Correct.
Yep. So we
Right.
maintain the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go Gavany Road and come around the corner to Wilson.
Yeah, as for
Well,
snow
maintain,
plowing,
don't say, I was
they,
gonna say, don't maintain, say, maintain's kind of a slippery slope, cause in there, we're
Well,
out there fixing and constructing.
And we
all that's their road.
specifically, we specify that maintain in this agreement is plowing snow. And I think that's about it, but.
Right, if we're half ownership, we don't wanna take full ownership on overall maintenance outside of snow plowing.
Cause that's potholes and everything.
That would be-
they got fixed today, just so you know that.
Main Street, we're gonna get,
So yeah, some maintenance obligations for Gavney would include, plus it's including repairs, so we gotta strike that.
Well, so at this point, we're just looking at.
Yeah, at
pointing
this
the-
point, we're just
the
looking
three
at pointing
people I
the-
stated to meet with the three people from the town board to get this agreement, it'll be brought back for,
okay,
so I'd entertain a motion to.
so moved.
Motion by Fetch, is there a second? I made that, clerk will call the roll.
Olsted. Yes. Anderson.
Yes.
Fetch.
Yes.
Feltes.
Yep.
Mezek.
Yep.
Wojni.
Yep.
Motion carries. Item 8B, discussion and possible action to approve the mayor to sign a letter of support for the United States Army Corps of Engineers Continuing Authorities Program Waiver Request.
So moved. Second that.
Motion by Feltes, second by Fetch.
I thought it was the same.
Timing?
Bill,
So,
you wanna expand?
Yeah. So the 205 section, the section 205, continuing authorities program is what they're calling it, limits the federal involvement or the federal dollars to the project at $10 million. And the way that the program is written now is that that with that $10 million is the match requirement, so 65% up to 10 million is the federal commitment, and then the local commitment needs to be at 35%. And it needs to be exactly at 35%, otherwise it could potentially be kicked out of the continuing authorities program. So our project obviously is more than, I think if you take it at that ratio at $10 million, that's $15 to $16 million project. Our project is more than that. And so in order to continue on with the project, we will most likely need a waiver from their command. And so the St. Paul division or the Mississippi Valley division the St. Paul division is asking the Mississippi Valley division for a waiver to keep us in this program. And the benefit to staying in this program is that there's less bureaucracy, there's less red tape, and they can approve the project at the division level. So they are submitting the waiver request, and they have requested that the city submit a letter of support for that waiver request. And I do have that letter here. It's I can read it, and then I'll pass it to you, Mayor. It's addressed to Colonel Samuel L. Kelkins, the St. Paul District Engineer Command. It says, "Dear Colonel Kelkins, this letter is to provide you with the necessary support to submit a waiver request to keep the city of Arcadia and the Arcadia Section 205 Flood Risk Management Project, Trumbull County, Wisconsin," and then it references the project number, within the continuing authorities program. Should this project move on to the implementation stage, the city of Arcadia is willing and committed to fund 100% of the section 205 implementation costs in excess of the federal limit. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Sincerely, Rob Reckline, Mayor, City of Arcadia. And this has been over to the city attorney's office, and he is okay with it. Any questions?
So moved, need a motion.
I think you already
Call
got
it
one.
right.
You already got one.
Call it.
Clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Yes.
Fetch.
Yes.
Feltes.
Yep.
Mazak.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yep.
Olsted.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 9A, approval of Arcadia School District pay request under Fort River Library of $26,263.96. Motion by Feltes, seconded by Fetch. Comments or questions?
I just want to quickly comment, so this came to us, the actual invoice and billing has not been approved by the Wanick Foundation at this point. So it should be contingent on them approving. The process is that the school district sends it to them, they have their engineers take a look at it, they approve it, and then it comes to us, we review it, and then we approve it. We've seen it, it's okay by us.
Is that okay with this, motion in a second? To approve it as being contingent?
Okay, oh, with the Atlantic, yeah. Yeah, fine.
Clerk will call the roll.
Fetch.
Yes.
Feltes.
Yep.
Mazak.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yes.
Olsted. Yes. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 9B, approval of bills of general account in the amount of $190,084.56. Motion by Fetch. Is there a second?
Second.
By Feltes. Comments?
There's no Davy engineering.
We can just put that on for zero if you wanna see it every month.
Cause we did it the first part of the month.
We like the zero.
You give that
Angela
last
shakes
one.
her head yes.
Full police squad, they're up to no pay.
Too long to get it.
Transfers here.
Not gonna play, I'm not questioning.
If there's no questions, the clerk will call the roll.
Feltes.
Yep.
Mazak.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yep.
Olsted.
Yes.
Yes.
Fetch.
Yes, yes, yes.
Motion carries. Operator licenses, we have none scheduled this evening. Future agenda items, this is something I'd like to just take off the agenda, because sometimes it gets into discussion, but I think we're pretty open. If you want a future agenda, contact myself, Angela, or Joe, and we can get it put on. Sometimes we start to stray a little too much in discussion about it. and I'm
Sounds
not-
good.
Not in favor. I understand why it was put on, because there was issues about having future agenda items.
Right, but
If we ever have a problem, I'm more than open to put it back on, but it seems as though sometimes we get really,
But you address that orally, so if they have got a question or they wanna bring something up, they contact you.
anyway,
So-
that's why I'm removing it. It's not just to limit the amount of public input from the council. I just think we're pretty open about what's gonna be put on the agenda, so. Usually we like to have it out by Friday, usually, before the meeting on Wednesday.
Contact you or Angela.
Angela or Bill. Yep, yep. Then if it doesn't need to be actually placed on the agenda, and it can go to a different department head or something like that, it can be handled more efficiently.
If we would contact you, is it at home run cell or how?
Either one.
So your old number still works? Okay.
I got a personal cell, I got a mayor cell, and I got a home address, so
How do you guys get your agenda?
I picked mine up.
I get mine email.
I put mine in your email.
I don't know if it was because it was so big, but
Well,
they
no, I
said they
think-
emailed it, but I never got it.
I think what happened, Paul, is our email's not shared. I added you to my distribution list, but Lindy sent out the agenda packet for me this week, and I don't know that you were on her, so I was gonna double check with her today and then.
I didn't get mine till today, I think.
Right,
Right.
I didn't get mine
But for
either.
But I
you,
picked
you
mine
come
up.
past here all the time, you could just stop and pick it up the day before.
But I.
No, it's always best to get it as soon as it's out. I mean, you can get it whenever you want, but I'm an advocate that if you have the information beforehand so you can read it. I'm pretty good about if it's
By
something that's
Tuesday
handed out
anyway.
that day, we don't vote
Paul,
on it.
we have a laptop, a Surface Pro for you. If you wanna stop by, I can set that up for you, and we can assign an email to you. that's based off the Gmail server and has no limit to how big the.
Wait, Paul, I picked up my copy.
I already got a
And it's right
laptop
here.
and no, I got.
Just stop by, I can give it to you.
That's number 2, Bob gave his back, just so you know.
I'll
I gave it back on November 21st, 2016.
Cause Emma said she got hers, and she's in your own probably every day. You can just, even if, or maybe you can't do that, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
public
information. Yeah.
Okay.
She actually was in today and she's like, oh, I'm not gonna see him today, so just leave
Right.
it till later, so.
Right. No, and then I got it I got an email then today.
Okay.
Well, these things work, but mine just ran out of gas, so I'm back to
All right, so anyway, that's the future agenda items we're gonna remove from the agenda. Again, it's not due to anybody, I just wanna,
not
you know my feelings.
Not skating rinks or anything like that. I'll keep working.
There you go.
Number 12, regular meeting will be April 3rd, right here, 5 o'clock. Always. Go into item
5
number
p.m.?
5 p.m. Entertain a motion to go into
So
closed
moved.
session.
Second.
Motion by Mazak, second by Fetch, per 19.85, parentheses 1, parentheses E.
Oh, sorry. Clerk will call the roll.
Mezek.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yes.
Holsted. Yes. Anderson.
Yes.
Fetch.
Yes.
Feltes.
Yep.
Motion carries. Yep, you sure do. We are in open session at, item number 15, possible action to submit offer to purchase property.
I'll make a motion, we offer the school district fair market value for that piece of property.
I'll second that.
Motion by Feltes, second by Mazak. Comments or questions?
Hey, Bill, do I need to have the $4,200 in that motion for this fair market value?
Oh, you said
Say
it.
fair market value as stated in the
Yeah.
the appraisal, right?
Yep.
Could be $400 instead of 42, but.
Holsted. Yes.
I don't
Anderson.
even think it's worth that, is it?
Fetch.
Yep.
Feltes.
Yes.
Mezek.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yep.
They can't give it to us.
Motion carries. Item 16, we'll entertain a
So
motion to
moved.
go into closed session by Mazak,
Second.
by Feltes. For 19.85, parentheses 1, parentheses C.
Rob, do you want me to move her out?
Well, up to you. And the council.
I'll come and grab you if you just wanna wait a couple minutes.
Sure. Anderson.
Yes.
Fetch.
Yeah.
Feltes.
Yep.
Mezek.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yep.
Holsted.
Motion carries.
That's not Norwegian.
So we are in open session. Item,
Do you have the motion to convene into open?
it was by
Me.
Mazak and
Tried,
Feltes.
but nobody listened.
Now we need a motion to accept Bill's letter.
Motion by
Resignation.
Mazak,
So
resignation.
moved.
Kevin made it.
Second.
By Fetch.
I thought I wanted to see him go.
Yeah.
Any other comments or
No,
questions?
good luck.
I mean, you'll have, yeah.
Now he can plan his
We have
life.
the next 60 days to give
Boy,
us
your
some
next 60
compliments
days
on
are
the
gonna be
last
tough.
meetings.
Yeah, now he can plan his life.
Clerk will call the roll.
They get less snow on there?
Wojni.
Yes.
Holsted. Yes. Anderson.
Yes.
Fetch.
Yes.
Feltes.
Yes.
Mezek.
Yes.
They don't have the.
We'd also entertain a motion to instruct Bill to place,
So moved.
Second.
an ad out for, begin to search the position.
I suppose we should know what he's gonna say, yeah.
City administrator, motion by Feltes, second by Mazak. Clerk will call the roll.
Holsted. Yes. Anderson.
Yes.
Fetch.
Yes.
Feltes.
Yes.
Mezek.
Yes.
Yep.
Wojni.
Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
I felt the second by Mazak. Clerk will call the roll.
Good luck.
Anderson.
We're gonna miss you.
Fetch.
Yeah.
Feltes.
Yes.
Mezek.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yes,
Holsted.
just when you were starting to learn where people live too.
Motion carries.